It's on. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Prof Sales here.
And Karin.
And we are coming at you with yet another show on, what is today, July 10th?
Yes, Monday,
2017, July 10th. And we're live on the tube of you. That sounds weird. But I've said it before. But I'm weird. So anyway... So how's everybody doing out there in YouTube land? Hope you're having a great start to your week. I know it's Monday, but Monday's a good day, right? It's another good day. I like Monday.
Where would we be without awkward intros, right?
Yes, good point. Good point. So let us know, guys, if you can hear us okay in the chat. We do have the chat up. We will be answering questions best we can as we go. But we're going to talk today about, this is really kind of part one, I think.
Of many.
Of a shipping video, and we're going to talk about shipping supplies. So we wanted to show you kind of what some of our supplies were. Maybe it'll give you some ideas about what you can use in your own business. And, you know, I don't know what you all ship, what you all sell. It's going to be different for all of us, but I think there's some common things we can all agree on, or pretty much agree on, that we all need. So
I can hear you just fine.
She can hear me, but then again, she's probably, Knight says, please answer questions horribly instead. That's pretty funny. Well, okay. We could do that too. We could just give horrible answers.
That's great. How about we just make the answers up?
Yeah, answers are free. Good answers cost $1. I don't know, whatever. But, so... I know, this show's already going downhill, and we're barely 2 minutes in.
You get what you pay for, so free answers. There you go.
Man, it's just crazy. All right, so the first thing I want to say about this topic is that we are going to talk about the objective of shipping supplies. Now, I know you guys might be thinking, well, shipping supplies don't really have an objective. And you're right, they don't. There's not really an objective to shipping supplies. It doesn't even make sense. Ron says he has no sound, but Ron, everybody else hears me just fine. So I'm not sure why.
Hey, Ron, it's been a while.
Sorry if you don't, buddy. Not sure. Check your mute. But, yeah, if anyone else is having an issue with the sound, let me know to make sure. Or is it just on Ron's end? Because I really don't want to keep talking and say all these things. And then there's, you know, refresh your URL, Ron. Yeah, Ron, it's just you and your computer. Come on, man. No, I'm just teasing. Who knows? The internet, whatever. But all right, so the objective on this show is to teach you, or to talk about, you know, what's the point of shipping something? So like, what are you trying to achieve? And so I started thinking about, all right, so somebody buys something from me. I got to ship it to them. What's really my objective? So I came up with this objective. My objective in terms of the shipping of an item is to ship the item in the safest, fastest, and most cost-effective method to the buyer. That's it. It needs to be safe, fast, and cost-effective. It needs to get there safely, not destroyed, not damaged. Now, I know there's things we can't control. I mean, we can't control if the post office people decide to play hockey with the package. We can't control that. And fast, same thing. Sometimes things get slowed down because of all kinds of reasons. You know, they disappear into the matrix for a while. Who knows? And cost effective, I think you've got a lot of control over that. But you know, and so we'll talk more about these as we talk more about shipping. But I think it starts out with this idea about the safest and fastest, and that kind of leads us into the topic, which is the supplies you need to do that. All right. So I'm going to talk about hardware for just a moment. What do you need in terms of shipping supplies hardware? All right. Well, the first thing you're going to need, and this is no big surprise, you're going to need a computer, because it's a lot. I guess you could ship everything through a mobile device and so on. You could, for sure. A lot of times with eBay, though, the laptop version, the desktop version has more options of their site that you can use for shipping. You can create shipping profiles, which is something we'll talk about, shipping policies. So you need a computer. I mean, that's not really that much of a revelation. Another thing you need is you're going to need some sort of printer. Now, I'm going to show you two printer options, and we actually have both for different reasons, all right? The first one I'm going to show you is one I can actually pick up and show you. This is the DYMO 450 Turbo. That was pretty good. We didn't even practice that. If you know the name DYMO, it's a good name in these little label printers. It's a heat printer. It prints on like heat sensitive paper. I don't know. But basically it doesn't use ink, which is pretty cool. So there's no ink to replace. It just prints whatever you want to print on the label. Now you can use that to print shipping labels. I have used it sometimes to do that. You can get shipping labels. They're like this big more or less. And you can set that up to print like where it's going to your customer and so on. It can print a barcode and so on. You could print return address labels on there if you really wanted to, very, very easily. They're great little printers, and I highly recommend you checking them out. You know, maybe check out some, I think they're around about 80 bucks maybe on Amazon, 85, somewhere in there. You can get different versions of them. Some have like 2 printers together. It's a twin, but great little printer. Highly recommend it. It goes by USB to your computer, and of course it has a power supply as well.
So can I insert a pro tip here?
Yep.
Since I'm kind of just a statue for this part. Pro tip, and I couldn't believe that you did it, try to unplug it as little as possible. Because every time, and I'm shocked actually that he's show and telling it like
unplugged
on its own, unplugged.
Prof unplugged. It's like MTV unplugged. Go ahead.
And so I'm shocked that it's unplugged because every time we reconnect, it gets a jam or it's just a mess. So, and
yeah,
we've had lots of forum discussions on this and why it does and why it doesn't and how it's whatever, but try not to unplug it because the first time that you do and the first time it gets all jammed up will be the last time. Because
it's kind of, it's annoying. It's not hard to fix, but it's happened to me maybe 2 or 3 times. And that happens with any printer. They get jammed sometimes. It's just, I've probably had maybe 3 of them in the 3 years I've had this, maybe 4. Not bad. The twin one is great too. Costs a little more. I think it's about 40 or 50 bucks more actually, if I'm not mistaken. But it works too because then you could print one type of label on one side and another type on the other. You don't have to switch your labels, which is nice. The next thing you're going to need is a laser printer. Now, buy with just a DYMO or label printer of some sort, like I just showed you. But I think you're going to have to print other things too sometimes. You're going to have to sometimes print packing list, the actual shipping label for the most part on the laser printer. I like to, we'll get to those in a moment, shipping labels that are 2 to a label or 2 labels to a page. Looks nice and clean. It's easier to read. The barcode tends to print off really well. Because it's a laser printer, that barcode will stay, you know, kind of, it's a heat impression on there, not a heat impression, but they use heat to bond the ink to the label. Just so the label stays scannable. If you use an inkjet, sometimes that ink will come out a little bit wet, and if it gets smudged, it might not scan at the post office, which can create a problem for your shipping times. So I highly, highly recommend getting a laser printer if you don't have one for that reason.
Other platforms, if you have occasion to buy postage direct, eBay has it already ready for you to go. But on USPS, for example, and I haven't tested it lately because we have a laser printer, but it wouldn't allow you to print with an inkjet because it's just the label can get distorted through weather and wear, as well as it's not scannable. So there's a reason why laser printers are imperative for your shipping labels.
The last part of hardware I'm going to cover with you guys, and this one in some ways might be the most important actually, because if you're going to ship a lot of things, especially if you're shipping a lot of things that are you're not shipping a lot of flat rate items, and you're shipping things where you have to, you know, there are different weights and you're doing calculated and so on. I mean, it's just that simple. And we found a nice little, these are made by Accuteck. Some of you probably have seen this name before. It comes with the readout. I like the readout because it comes corded to the side. It's not built in. I like that because I can put this somewhere different while I can put the item on here, and that comes in handy. This actually will work on battery, as you can see, or it will work by an AC adapter, which comes with it as well. Do kilograms, pounds, all that good stuff. And I love it. It also opens up on the top so that if you have something that's kind of big but will fall off the sides, if I can get it to stay open, You see it can be, it works a lot better when it's flat.
Just let me, you talk.
There you
I'll
go.
demo.
So if you had something that was kind of large, you need to lay on there like this, for instance, you could do it, which is nice. And this scale goes up to 110 pounds. Great little scale. Man, it's just been a little workhorse. No real issues with it. You know, can't recommend it enough. I think it's accurate to 1/10 of an ounce, which is plenty for, you know, shipping even first class. And by the way, guys, we have links to all this stuff in the description of the video. Some of them are affiliate links, some of them aren't, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't cost you anything different. So if you want to check any of these out, or even go to like Amazon through the link and check other stuff out, maybe you'll find one you like even better. It's not like we have the market on the absolute best equipment. We're just sharing with you what we've got. Check that out in the description.
Well, and when we're needing, and I don't have it handy, I think it's over in the pile somewhere, but when we're having to do work at the same time, I use a Weight Watchers food scale, which is just about the same as far as it measures in ounces. You can zero it out, similar. And in another show that we did, another person said that they do the same thing. So
right.
There you go.
All right, so Karen, you want to talk about some of our equipment that we have here?
So equipment and supplies. And this section is my section because where's the recycle part? Should I say that now? So for me, supplies.
We're not to that part.
Okay, then I'm not going to say that part. I understand that, but it says equipment and supplies. So
that's what it is.
Tape gun. Also a necessary evil. The only thing that I can recommend on something like this is I do not like the cheaper packing tape because it's thinner and it knots up, and it's another pitta. So I would not recommend that. Yeah. We also
acronym.
Yes. Pain in the you know what. And we also have this is something we've had for a long time. It also puts the roll. Oh, it also puts the roll right on the desk.
Do you remember why we got this one in addition to that one?
Absolutely no idea. So I could put my lint roller and my Scotty peeler and my everything else.
But that's an added bonus. The reason we got that one, guys, the set one, because there's times when you're just taping a small package and using this on like a small package doesn't make sense.
Nope.
You're like trying to get it to press under there. So having one you can roll out really quickly and do that really comes in handy.
Well, and also with the tape gun as well as this desk model here. Yeah, I hear you on the auto, easy to get. But the USPS tape rolls are the same size and will fit in there, as will the eBay tape.
Yeah.
So you can, they're
interchangeable.
So there you go. Tape dispenser we got. Tape measure.
Why would you need a tape measure?
That's a great question. To measure things? Yes. So it's important. Depending upon what you sell and how you sell it, within your listing, it might actually ask you to enter the actual dimensions, right?
Of the box or whatever. Right.
One of the things that we're big advocates for when listing is to know what method, how you're going to ship the item and how much it's going to cost. You're working that into it even before you actually list it. And if you measure your item, that can also help you decide how you're going to ship it. Like and we'll talk later in what that looks like, but it could determine the size box you use, the size envelope you use, whatever.
Sure.
So the tape measure, and it can be this one. This one comes in more handy, I think, maybe for photos because it's rigid. But you can also use a clothing tape measure. You know, they're sort of more malleable.
And, like the tailor's
things
tape.
like that. Right. This is so funny. Scissors.
Don't run.
Just in case you don't, you need a visual on what scissors look like.
Hey, 3-pack at Walmart. I think they were like $7 or $6 or
pretty
$5
much.
or $4.
And
there's something really cheap.
We have a pair of scissors. There's one at the photo table. There's one at your desk. There's one in this desktop thing. Because scissors, it's almost the unsung hero of listing.
Oh yeah, it comes. You need them
because we're clipping threads with it. We're
opening returns. That's always fun.
I just bring them in from the mailbox. That's the extent of what I do. Shipping knife like these straight. Oh, you're going to trust me with sharp objects. But yeah,
box cutter.
a box cutter. I can't even see to close it. That would be really funny. But yeah, so this comes in handy for opening as well, cutting bigger pieces of paper.
Right.
And a lot of times you can get these with the refills already in the packaging.
Right.
So you're not having to go out any additional
You're going to need it, promise you.
For the additional razor blades. Do I have the label?
You do.
Okay. You have options for what shipping label you use, and our label page of choice has evolved.
Coming up.
Pro tip at the end. So initially, and a lot of people buy them. I don't remember the prices because I haven't had to buy them in a while. But they make the shipping label, and it's an 8.5 by 11 that'll go right into your laser printer. But they make it as one solid piece, right? And when you get that, and depending upon how you've evolved to ship your labels, you're going to, if you ship it on one, if you print it on one solid label, you're going to have a paper cutter or scissor, and you're going to have to cut it in half because you're only needing half of this piece of paper. So then our next evolution to labels was they have 2 to a page, right? What we've evolved to now is a rounded, cornered 2 label page, and actually you can see the space in between them. But the reason for the rounded corners, this is the pro tip whence you were referring. It makes it so easy. You don't even have to have fingernails to take it off the page.
You can feel it. So sure.
Yeah. Oh, I can? You want me to waste it?
Sure.
Really?
Waste a label. That'll be 12 cents.
Oh, now what am I supposed to do with it? So
we'll still use that one.
So anyway, just take that away. Just take it away. Off with the label. So then, because what happens is when you struggle too much with the label, talk about a pitta, you don't want to print your shipping label and then have to go back because it got crinkled. If that barcode gets crinkled, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it might not scan.
Even though it's printed extra sharp and crisply and readable, if it gets a little wrinkle in it, it's going to defeat the purpose, right?
It's not going to work.
And if you have to reprint it, totally doable, but it also just adds time to your process. So
Clearing Clutter says, I just use plain paper and tape to attach labels. However, I'm gonna challenge you a little there. First of all, you're still paying for paper and you're still paying for tape and you're spending time, because that's what I did too. And then I finally decided like my time and energy was just better spent in other places. It's not saying that it's right or wrong, but it was a pain in the butt, you know, and then sometimes the tape would get wrinkled and, you know, I mean, it was just all kinds of little problems with that. And plus you felt like you had to tape the whole thing, or if it got pulled off. These labels are pretty strong. I mean, I've never had one. I've seen them come back in the mail to me where people have used them, and they stay in pretty good shape. Even though they get beat up every once in a while, you can still read them. The barcode's still there. So consider that Clutter just for all those reasons, the time, and it is some expense the way you're doing it.
Well, and also some people use the clear pockets, but it's the same thing, right? It's creating extra steps for yourself. This puts everything in one item. So you don't have to put on the clear pocket and then print a piece of paper, fold that over, put it in. I think price-wise, it almost comes out to the same.
It's about the same, yeah. And the big thing, the big thing is just the time, though, because
and that's it.
You're not making any money when you're shipping something to someone. You've already made the money. You're losing money every second you spend on that item. So you just want to get it done quickly and out the door and gone. So, all right, let's go to, and we can ping pong back and forth in these if you want. All right, so packing. You've gotten some supplies to put stuff together. So what are you going to put it in? So the first thing I'm going to show you is one. I'll do the first one. Is what we use for a lot of jeans, and it's the trusty padded flat rate envelope from the United States Postal Service. You can get these at USPS.com, and I've got that link in there too. They're free. Go to USPS. You can get these. I like to get 10 packs of 10 at a time, so it's 100. Because they come in a nice size box, which you can sometimes use for other things, but it's easy to store. And they're great. They're very strong. I mean, they will rip, obviously, let's be clear. But they're padded. They'll resist water somewhat. And they just look really nice. And you'd be surprised what you can get inside one of these. It actually says on here, one rate, any weight. So
in other words, if it fits, it ships.
yeah, and my cost to ship this anywhere in the United States, for instance, is $6.30. It's pretty cheap. So I can price that into a free shipping item if I want, because I know what it's going to cost me in this. So, and I love these. I'll usually stay I'll try to stay one case ahead of myself when I order them, just so that way I never run out. So.
And that's the one that's not, you can't get those at the post office.
No, our post office doesn't carry them, and I don't think most people's do. Most of the time, you have to get these off the USPS website.
And the reason that I think Jason put in the about section just the link to the USPS website, because we couldn't put a link directly to those mailers because you actually have to set up an account. They're going to want, they don't require a credit card, but they're going to want your information.
Right.
So you have to set up an account. I'll do that one.
All right. Speaking of free stuff.
And speaking of another stuff that isn't readily available at the post office, the ever popular, so elusive Priority Mail shoebox. Oh, it exists. Ooh.
You can get some pretty big shoes in there too.
Oh,
some really large boots will not fit, but you'd be surprised what size shoe will fit in there. It's crazy. And you can put packing in it, so it's nice.
Yep, and they're grand.
That box, and by the way, this box weighs 5.5 ounces. So
keep that in mind.
It doesn't add much weight to your shipping. You know, if you're like 2 to 3 pounds or 1 to 2 pounds, whatever.
Oh, and you know what? That's worth saying. When you're considering what you're going to ship and how much it's going to cost, you have to include your shipping supplies. Like the box has to be part of the weight. It has to be considered.
Right.
Even the label and the packing slip have to be part of that weight.
All part
because
of it.
If you're right up there, if your t-shirt or your jacket, that's better, is right up there really pushing 1 pound, once you put the box or the envelope and or label, etc. on top, you might just go over. And you don't want to risk having to incur the buyer having to, cash on delivery, et cetera, et cetera.
Mark, to answer your question about where we get the labels from, there's a link in the description of this video, an affiliate link to an Amazon source. And it's the same source that I've used on eBay too. I've used in both places. So I've been really happy with them. I've never had any issue with, being able to get them to stick or anything like that. So hopefully that'll work for you as well.
And they're the equivalent of an Avery, but it's not an Avery.
It's not an Avery,
because we buy them in bulk. So don't go the Avery route. The bulk route, you'll save money.
Here's something else you guys might want to use. This is, I just want to make sure I have the right thing. Kraft Paper. Now, it comes in big sheets of all different sizes. We actually have a roll that's like 42 inches high. And it's like, I think it was like 500 yards we got it or something. This thing is huge.
It
it's
was
like
a present for Jason like heavy. 2 years ago.
That thing, it weighed like 40 or 50 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you guys, this stuff right here, this Kraft brown paper, and you can get imitation of it. It's strong. Now, there's two things you can do with this. You can wrap things in it. Like you could wrap clothing in it and tape it up, kind of make like a little package. Looks all right. But I'll tell you what I really love this for. If you take it and you sort of ball it up, this makes great packing material to keep things from moving around.
Or
avoid, right, to fill in a void in a box. The only downside of this paper is, and it depends on the weight you get, there's different weights. It has some weight to it. So it will add weight to your package, which might, trip it over into a, so if you're going to pack something using that, make sure you figure out about how much of it you're going to need first and consider that in your shipping calculation before you just trip into another weight category. And there you go. She just threw it over there.
Another substitute for said Kraft paper. And we're showing you guys a lot of these things. I know it sounds simple, but some people don't know what Kraft paper is. You say Kraft paper, they think, oh my God, I got to go to Michael's and buy, special paper. No, it's just, it refers to the type of paper. It's just usually a plain brown and you're good. You can use butcher paper. Several people use the plain white rolls. Just make sure it's cheaper. Don't go expensive, like the glossy on one side, flat on the other.
You get to do that one.
And then you can also do tissue paper because that's not on here. Right?
No, it's not on there, but we don't really use it that much.
But you can. Some people use that, and they also use tissue paper for
you got your hands
prettiness. I know.
Oh, you're doing
this one.
Okay.
Is that me?
Yep.
All right. Another thing that you can use for smaller items is the generic equivalent of that padded flat rate. This is simply a padded envelope. and we actually use them in 2 sizes. We prefer the self-adhesive ones. They're a tad bit more expensive, right?
Just a tad, yeah.
Just a smidge.
Pretty close.
But again, it's like,
you don't have to tape.
I'm not going to do it because then I'll waste an envelope.
Stop wasting my shipping supply.
You go, and then you fold it, and then you're done. And then it's big enough that it'll, you can put one of your full-size shipping labels on there.
Yeah, which I really like. It looks really nice when, I wish we hadn't thrown that label away. It looks really nice when these are actually.
Right here. It's like all.
No, that's all right. When they're pasted on the front, because it just looks very clean, looks very professional.
Oh, and here's the second size. So for us, we don't find a need to get a bigger one, but I think one is a 5 by.
I think that's a 10 by 6, and that one's like 12 by 8 or something like that. I can't remember the exact size. But they're nice. They're great little envelopes, and they just, you can also sometimes find them in the dollar store, but when you order them in bulk online, you'll get a better deal than even the dollar store. So, but you got to order enough of them, obviously. What's next? The poly mailers.
Somebody mentioned poly mailers, free supplies from eBay for those.
Quarterly coupon for stores.
Use your quarterly coupon, but this is a poly mailer. It just means it's this, you know, plasticky envelope, right? It's bendable. You can make a mask out of it, but you can buy these. A lot of folks, like niche sellers, will get really cute. I've seen some really neat ideas. Some people even have them printed special with, you know, flamingos or high heel shoes or whatever. But these, this is the regular one. All right, so this is the blank one that we use, and we also have 2 sizes of this. But then this is what all the fuss is about.
We're actually out of the small eBay ones. This is the bigger one that we have.
So this is the eBay poly mailer.
I don't remember the size of this thing. It's pretty big.
And the only difference, and I don't know if there's 2 things I don't like about it, but it has 2 adhesive thingies. And when you open it, it's going to come across, and it's going to. Yeah,
you can rip it.
You can rip it. It has like an open thingy there.
I've got another pro tip for this one. So I have a little cheat. All right. So we've started selling shoes. So when you put shoes in this box, guys, if you just put them in there like that, they will sometimes rub together and get scuffed. You can use one of these bags on each shoe, wrap the shoe in the bag, and put that down here to help prevent that. And sometimes just the added excess material of the bag will be enough to sort of fill up the box, and the shoe won't move around. Plus, it won't get scuffed. So I've actually done that a few times now. It works great. It doesn't work for every shoe, but it works for some.
And my personal preference, and maybe a shout out to the eBay marketers, for us, the whole point of putting the eBay logo on there is to, you know, reinforce the image, the marketing, etc. But for me, when I close this up, it's never the right exact size. So 9 times out of 10, I end up covering it up. So it would be cool, as far as I'm concerned, if the eBay logo went somewhere else, because it kind of, I don't know, it just looks kind of.
And Chicago Bulls fan asks, what about using cling wrap for shoes? I don't think it's probably a problem if you do it once you've shipped them, but if you store them in that and there's any mold in there, it will grow. And there could be. There very well could be. Any moisture, it'll turn into mold. So be very careful about wrapping your shoes in cling wrap. I've read that tip in a few different places. You basically want to keep them out to where, like these behind us, where they can get air so that mold won't grow, believe it or not. Next up is...
Oh, this is my part. So, big proponent for recycling shipping supplies. And I think when I did my eBay 101 or my reseller 101 thing, I started it with a boa of pocket pillow fillers or whatever. But we save, and every now and then we get rid of, but we save boxes, whether we are buying from Amazon or eBay or whatever, we recycle them. And this is just a couple. We'll break them down, because if we don't, the garage becomes overrun with boxes.
I got to break them down.
Break them down or throw them away.
Take one big box, break down the small ones into it, medium box.
But if it's a FedEx or an Amazon, doesn't matter. The important thing, though, with recycling boxes is that you remove any old labels. And there's usually a little extra regional thingy that they scan. But you don't want to confuse where your package is going, because a lot of times those extra stickers are sort of quick references to sort the package.
I was going to leave one. I'm sorry. I was going to make one other quick tip.
Oh, please do.
These can also be used for packing a void in a box because they will fill it up. Like they will give the box more integrity, so you can use this as packing material.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And don't worry so much. We also don't get hung up on if it says Amazon or if it says eBay. When push comes to shove, if it fits in that box, it ships in that box.
It ships in that box.
So, it's not such a big deal. And this is just, I prefer these because in the grand scheme of packing materials and extra cushion, these weigh the least.
Yeah, they weigh like nothing.
Like they're air, hence the name air.
And they work great.
Yes,
they work great.
They do. I also, can I keep going?
Yes.
I also, we didn't bring the roll in, but I had something here. Bubble wrap. Somebody actually mentioned bubble wrap earlier, but it's not just for getting your frustrations out, but bubble wrap is good as well. You can wrap.
Right.
And I blew this piece of glass when I was
that.
in Tacoma. I made this all by myself, and it was a joy.
You went from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma.
Yeah, Philadelphia, Atlanta,
LA.
All right, so
Song reference.
bubble wrap is also a good thing to have. And again, you can recycle it because unless all the little bubbles have been popped, you're good to go. And this one, I wanted to include this one because believe it or not, when you say popcorn peanut, there are still people that think that you should ship in, put in your box like peanuts. That is not the case. A popcorn peanut is anything that is a small styrofoam thingy. So in this case, a popcorn peanut, and they kind of look like peanuts, I guess, but please don't eat them. That's our disclaimer. But see, it's just like a little styrofoam. And these are awesome because if you're shipping something fragile, you can't get too much padding. But the cool thing about the styrofoam popcorn peanuts is that you can really cram it in there, and your goal for certain items is that they can't even breathe in there. So I also save and recycle these. Environmentally, they're not the best, but if it's already been created, instead of throwing it away, I would much rather put it to a better use somewhere down the road. So
all right, there you go. I think that's all the stuff. Man, that took a lot longer than I thought. All right, so guys, that was all of our shipping tips. We got some other stuff for the show, but just a couple quick reminders to check out the links below. You can find links to virtually almost everything we just showed you. Also, there's a subscribe button there too. And if you want to subscribe, get these video updates so you don't have to come searching, you can do that as well.
And if you like what you see, most definitely consider smashing the like button.
She loves saying that.
I need a new... I think Adam is here. I need a new thingy that I can do. And yes, those actually are the earth-friendly ones.
Yeah, they are. And somebody had a great tip about put the bubbles face down. That makes a lot of sense. That sort of.
Oh yeah, because if you put them on the outside, yeah, that's not as good.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is to cradle your item. And you're not really doing that.
I'm guilty of that sometimes, believe it or not.
You need to cradle your items better.
I might need to cradle my item. That's not bad. All right, so let's move on to something else, literally anything else. And if you guys have questions, type the word question or question marks in the chat. And of course, leave us questions afterwards. We've started answering some questions on air. I don't really have anyone answer today.
You didn't do anything.
I don't, but we have been answering some questions on air during shows. So
there you go.
Just showing the person's question and so on. But anyway, so just to give you one quick programming update, our shows now do come on at 2 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for sure. There's other shows we do too. But you can definitely catch us on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And each of those days has a sort of different theme. Like today's is eBay 101 and about shipping supplies, because shipping supplies are pretty 101-ish, I think.
Yeah, and I think you can always learn something because it's always changing.
Karin, you should take this question.
Oh, there's a question. Can I read it? What do you use the pool noodles for behind you? Great question, CSS. Pool noodles are great for
the pool.
We don't have a pool though. So pool noodles, I get them at the dollar store, and I can use them to the tune of about 3 or 4 pair of shoes. Oh, are you going to be Vanna White? This is cool. So So when we're photographing or storing boots, high shoes, or even like a Greek sandal, look at that. Oh,
And see what the boot does if you don't have the pool noodle in it. So it would be hard to take a photo of that. But
there's a joke in there somewhere. But yes, to maintain the integrity of your boot with the fur, the pool noodle comes in handy. And because I don't like to waste any part of said pool noodle, I'll cut, because they're about 4 feet, I'll make 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2 pairs of boots in one noodle, and then there'll be about 6 inches left over at the end, and I'll cut that in half, and we can use those to help support shoes that are sort of limp or they need help in the photo department or something. And you made a joke on your hangout from last Saturday that you really, they're great to use, but don't include the pool noodle in your picture. Because one of 2 things is going to happen. 1, it's going to look a little unprofessional. And 2, it's not included with the purchase. And I know this sounds really crazy, and I don't want you to have to type in a disclaimer, but pool noodle not included.
Right.
You don't want to false advertise. And
the cool thing is too, like if you cut some really short ones, like about this long,
you
can put them in shoes to kind of push up just the shoe, because sometimes a shoe is flat.
I did say that. But
oh, did you? I missed it while I was doing Vanna White.
Thanks for watching, Vanna.
Yeah, it's a great trick. I don't know who gave us that tip. Who gave us that tip? I can't remember.
Oh, it was somebody from, well, my mom's always done it. But then it came up, and forgive me because it came up in one of the chats a long time ago. And I went out and got them, and the rest is history. It was awesome.
A couple other and one other programming note too. And so great questions in the chat, by the way, today, guys. So thank you for that. It's always cool when people have good questions, and just to kind of see what people are thinking, and people even answer them in the chat. So next week is, well, not even next week's schedule. It's this week's schedule. We're in Monday. What am I talking about? So I'm going to be out of town starting Wednesday through Sunday. And Karen is maybe...
Cover your ears for a second. Cover your ears.
I'm going to hear you.
Just pretend. Cover your ears. Okay, so Jason's going to be in Austin for this this green room event.
You're whispering.
And I'm going to go live on Wednesday. It could be a first and a last, as all of my epic moments are on this channel. But the girls are going to take over. So if you're around Wednesday and you want to, it's like the train wreck that you're staring at and you can't look away. That's what I'm anticipating Wednesday will be all about. So if you want to come hang out, that's what we're going to do.
It could be the end of the Prof sales channel. No, I
don't know if it'll be the end, but it'll definitely,
you'll do great.
I'll rearrange while you're gone.
But I'm actually going to be there in Austin at the Green Room event. Some of you know I'm a member of the Green Room. I haven't been in this event before, but I just want to say, guys, in general, whether you're part of a group or not, find a group to become a part of. And I don't mean just a Facebook group. Like, that's kind of not enough, because Facebook groups sort of devolve into chaos sometimes, unfortunately. But find a group that you're a part of with like-minded people, so you can learn from them. You can be inspired by them. They can learn from you. You can have all these connections. I mean, it will pay dividends like you will not believe when you find the right one. And if you haven't found the right one, keep trying. And I know some of you guys out there like subscribe to every Facebook group there is related to reselling or thrifting or what have you. But that's almost too many, because you can't really focus on any of them. It's more about making the connections than just getting information, because the connection will pay dividends way past any informational tidbit you get from somebody. That'll keep paying dividends down the road. So I highly recommend you find groups to become part of, or if you can't find one, maybe in your town, start one. Like we started that meetup the other day, and there might be other reseller meetups in Charlotte, but we had one, and it was a great success, and we had a lot of fun and made new friends and new connections. And I think everybody learned, everybody found something profitable. So definitely would do it. How would you package a tennis racket?
I was reading that. So my immediate reaction to that is I have some awesome Amazon boxes. They make a perfect box that will fit a tennis racket, because I've had to do it before. But otherwise, I would either combine two or do a resizer. I would make the box myself.
Someone says too, use the USPS board game boxes. You may need two, so you may need to make a Frankenbox. I just wanted to say Frankenbox.
Yeah. So same. We haven't actually ordered that one because we've been blessed with recyclables here and we haven't had to do that. But I think maybe we should order some of those game boxes. That's interesting. We don't have any here. It's something that we can't.
Yeah, and we don't really sell that much of them.
Yeah.
And I can tell you something, guys, too. Going back to shipping supplies for a moment, there was something I sold. It was back last year. I don't remember what it was, but I know what it was. I was shipping something to Amazon for Amazon FBA, and it was like a towel rod or something. I had several of them, and it was kind of a long towel rod, and I had to get like a special length box to fit them. It was expensive. That box cost like $11 for the box.
The box costs more than it costs.
It costs more.
Ship
Yeah, it costs more than the shipping.
That was crazy.
So, I don't want to say have every shipping box known to humankind in your garage, but you do need a variety if you're selling a variety of different items. That's why I like selling niche types items, because, like those poly mailers we showed you, almost any clothing piece other than coats and jackets and maybe dresses, wouldn't put in there. Well, you can probably put a dress in there. I mean, you can put just about anything in those if you've got the right size bag. And, but with, like a tennis racket, it doesn't bend. You can't, it's as long as it is, it's as wide, and you just got to find a box that'll fit it. And it can be expensive to get a box. So,
like a shallow rectangle box.
Yeah, that's kind of a tricky one. I've never had to ship one of those.
And one of the things that I'm working on for I have the tchotchke store stuff that I want to sell, but then I have this collection of collectibles, a little redundant, but that's okay. And what I'm doing for that is, cha-ching! What I'm doing for that is I'm ordering Kraft Brown boxes that will fit a coffee mug. And then that way I'm able to order in bulk the right size, but it's about, what was it? I can't remember the numbers, but it's like a coffee mug size with a little give around the edge, but I can fit 95% of those collectibles into that box. And it's big enough. I ordered it up a little bit. It didn't weigh anymore, but I ordered a little bit bigger so that the shipping label would fit all the way around it and not look icky. So in that way I could, if you have a bunch of collectibles or a bunch of the same sizes, or even heck, if you sell coffee mugs, that's something to think about.
Yeah. Coffee mugs are a big business for a lot of people. And I get Adam had a point about that he thought the green room was pricey, and I understand that. I can sympathize with that. I think, with pricing a group, it's funny. Like, I don't look at a group. I look at it differently. Like, I look at paying for a group is not because I want to get value for my money. It's really to keep people who aren't serious from joining.
Well,
because if you're serious about something and you pay money for it, you're going to put time into it. You're going to invest in it. You're going to become connected to it. You're going to put your energy into it, all these things. When it's free, sometimes people will come in and just say or do whatever they want. And it drives away the people sometimes who aren't really there to learn, who are there to learn and to network and make these connections. That's just been my experience. And it's not to say that the green room is priced right or anything. Like, I'm not going to get into that discussion because whatever, we could argue about those sorts of things all day long.
Well, but we're not going to say bad things about anybody's group.
No, it's not about any one group.
Free or
but when you have and we have a free Facebook group. And part of the reason we limited it to 501 people is because we realize that when groups get super, super large, there's no way to effectively administer and manage that large of a population. And what happens is the people who yell the loudest drive away all the ones who don't want to hear it anymore and who would really like to be there for the right reasons. And that's unfortunate, but that happens in an awful lot of groups. It's just the nature of people sometimes. So I'm always cautious of that, but I understand your concern. I just look at it from a different perspective, I guess.
If you're able to do it, do it. When you pay for something, it adds a level of accountability to it. And for you, not that everybody needs to know all this, but you're writing your trip off. It's a business trip, people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And guess what, guys? And this is going to segue into the next little topic we have here. Tino is picking me up from the airport. And I actually can't check into my hotel for a few hours. So I'm going to go out with him thrifting before I go back to my hotel. How much value would you put on what I'm going to learn in those 3 or 4 hours? I think I just paid for my entire year's membership at the Green Room or a lot of groups, because what I'm going to learn in those 3 or 4 hours will absolutely pay for itself. Because I'll be able to take that knowledge back and bring it back with me here and use it. So, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to all this stuff. You just got to decide what's the right approach for you. And I think a lot of sellers, they start at this, you know, you got all these questions and you want answers to them. And when you join a big group, you're going to get answers. Sometimes they're great answers. Sometimes they're not so great answers. Sometimes they're sort of in the middle somewhere. But it can be overwhelming, like when you ask a question and you literally get 30 different opinions. Well, who's right?
Yeah, that's the one thing. Everybody, you've got a question, I guarantee you everybody's got a different answer.
I mean, you know, Prof Sales has got an answer, and Casey's got an answer, and Raiken's got an answer, and Chris has got an, I mean, we all got answers, but, you know, you almost have to find a way to sort of cut through all that. And, you know, that's why I'm looking forward to, one of the reasons I'm looking forward to this trip is
well,
hanging around people like Tino, for instance. It's going to be amazing. The
greatest blessing for us is getting to meet people. Like, we just had that meetup and we made 30 new friends. And these are people that, you know, we're going to see again. We're going to continue to do events like that. And I'm not going, but I'm like so jealous that you get to meet Tino.
Yeah.
The baby's not coming. So if the baby was going to be there, then I would have to get a plane ticket.
Large says, I hope you'll share what you learned with Tino. Yeah. And we are going to do some shows. I mean, I don't even know. I haven't planned my broadcast schedule from there. And the only reason I haven't is because Karen's going to be sopping up all the bandwidth with her shows. But no, really what the only issue is, guys, I don't know what my internet connection will look like there. I don't know how good the hotel Wi-Fi will be or if it will be good. I think it's going to be good because of this place has a pretty good reputation. So I'm hoping that I can, you know, Luke is going to be rooming with me, Endless Entrepreneur. So maybe we can do something together. I'm not really sure what it's all going to look like, but it's really going to depend on internet connection. So we hope to produce some content while we're there, maybe a live show as well. And then, of course, whatever I bring back, I'll absolutely share with you guys. And, you know, that was what I was going to say earlier is we have a link in our description to Tino's book that he and Raiken put out, 101 Killer Shoe Brands, men's brands. And, you know, I was just going to say, guys, there's tremendous value in there. I mean, one item probably pays for the cost of the book, honestly, because shoes sell. I couldn't believe, I mean, I knew there was 101 brands, but I couldn't believe how many of them I hadn't heard of. I'd probably not heard of like 65 or 70 of them. It was crazy. And I went, man, I probably looked right at that brand, not realizing it would sell for $80 to $120 and just passed it right over because I had no idea. So, I mean, I think anytime you get knowledge, guys, if you can go out and apply it and it can come back to you 20-fold, 100-fold. Forget about the price of it. I mean, knowledge, there's free knowledge, there's paid knowledge, there's all kinds of levels in between. But the real key is, can you take what you're told, what you've learned, and go apply it, and it be profitable for you, however you want to define profit. And I just think that, you know, if you surround yourself with the right people and the right resources and put your time and energy into those things, you will get a return on your investment of time or money or whatever it is you're putting it into. So big fan of that.
Hey, so Victoria said 2 things actually that I want to point out. Sorry to put you on the spot, but she said in the free supplies, there's a coffee mug size. So can I put in a request the next time you get free eBay stuff to order me some of those
coffee mug
to play with those? Because that's a good size. And she also points out that your membership fees for professional groups, etc., are deductible as a business expense. Right. Oh, for sure.
Of course they are. Prof, do you have many returns with shoes? No. And actually, Ann, it's funny that you said that I think I have one that's pending right now, but the buyer hasn't shipped it. So we'll see if they do or not. I mean, if they do, it's fine. But I think I've only had one so far. That one's the one that's pending. Tino informs me too, he doesn't get a super high amount either. I think it comes down to making sure that you have the right size in there, the right gender, any other specifics that the buyer needs to know, the width of the shoe. You can take a measurement, but I'm not the best at probably doing that or even telling you how to do it because I'm not really exactly sure what I'm doing with that. Somebody asked me today, actually, I got a request that said, hey, can you measure this in a shoe? I haven't done it yet, but so maybe I'll learn.
Yeah, well, and different it's just like jeans, like different manufacturers, for the most part, sizes are pretty universal, but different manufacturers are going to tweak it just a little differently. So when in doubt,
Right.
you really need to go back to the
Yeah.
source website to see what.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because Tino had a tip on our show we did Saturday night that I did with him and Chris and Casey. It's the most recent show before this one. And he was taught, because I asked him a question. I said, how do you tell men's from women's if it's just got a size? And there's a way to do it with the Euro size if that's there. Like there's a way to do it. And he mentioned it on the show, and I can't remember what it is. I'm going to have to get him to explain it to me in person, maybe show me. But he did explain it. So if you go there and watch the video and rewind it, you can probably decipher it. But there is a way to do that if you have the Euro size.
Like if it was a point size, it would a 0.5.
Yeah,
would be
there was
closest
something
to the men's. And
right.
Do you remember what your answer to that was?
What?
I do.
I tried on.
I just look at it, and if it looks like it's for a girl, I think it's a girl's shoe. I
talk just like that.
Hysterical.
When I say
I just,
it too.
I just thought that if I wore it, it was not a girl's shoe. Yeah, no. Don't do that.
Not the best method. Not the best method. Let's see. There's some other questions here, I thought.
They're just streaming by. Dogs
if it's
and
1
cats.
point or less, it's men's. Oh, okay. So I'm not sure if it's over, it's woman's. It's a woman's shoe. That Chicago guy said.
That Chicago.
So if it was like 38.5, what would that be? Like if that was all you knew about it. See, and that's where I wasn't sure. Somebody says there's a web page. Hey, it turns out this thing called the internet has information on it.
The internet.
And I have just been too lazy to go look it up. Actually, it hasn't come up that often. I tend to not buy a shoe if I can't tell what it is.
Yeah, and if we do, it's by accident, and we still sometimes do. But yeah, if there's not a size for whatever it is,
we don't do it in jeans often because it's a pain in the butt, because you can measure it, but you don't know how that manufacturer necessarily deciphered or what they said the measurement was. So all you can do is give the actual measurements of it, and that's fine. But people really shop things like shoes and jeans by the size that the manufacturer puts on it.
Yeah.
They don't say, "Oh, I want a shoe that's 10.25 inches long." It's
actually become a part of our instant quality control, if you will, when we're outsourcing. It's kind of been added to the list. In addition to checking crotches, zippers, pockets, etc., we make sure that the tag is in there and that the size is listed. Because if it's not, if you're just going to wing it, to say that it's problematic once you start to list it is potentially an understatement. So just as tempting as it may look, you're just setting yourself up for more headaches than you need. Again, adding time and cutting into your profit.
Yeah, agreed. And you definitely, again, it goes back to, just how quickly can you get things done, because time is money, quote unquote, or it's lost money in a lot of cases. So you don't want to spend a lot of time on any one item unless it's really worth the profit on the back end. Usually with shoes or clothes, it's not worth enough to spend, 15, 20, 30 minutes on one item. Mm-hmm. So anyway, you got anything else there, my dear?
That's a great question. Do I? Yeah,
I don't think so. All right. Well, listen, guys, I think that's going to do it for this show. Go back and watch the beginning if you haven't seen it to see what our shipping supplies are.
Oh, and be sure and go back and watch Saturday night's show, because we went down for Tiffany and James's coffee shop grand opening, and the first couple minutes are a train wreck of laughter because I came in and
we were trying to have a serious show. And then Karin came on.
And then Karin happened, right? So there you go. It was a good show, I guess, after we left. I don't know.
It was. And thank you guys on the spreadsheet. I've been getting a lot of spreadsheet content or comments and sales on it lately. So thank you for that. There's a link to that in the description as well. It really helps people out to track their sales and inventory, which was kind of the reason I did it. And I'm definitely planning to do another one for 2018. I'm going to make it even bigger and better. So hopefully, and hopefully you guys are enjoying that. So what else? Anything else you got?
Well, if you're new to the channel and you're not already there, subscribe. Consider, becoming a regular here on
Yep.
the Prof channel show.
Yes. And we will try to do more of those Saturday shows, by the way. Not this Saturday because I'll still be in Texas.
Right. And this week's a little wonky anyway, but we're also getting ready. We're gearing up for the rehab series that we're going to do. So if you have any, I think you're pretty full. You're not taking new people, right?
I think we're pretty good.
Smash the like button.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today. So I hope you guys have a great Monday and go out there and kill it the rest of the day.
Just kill it, you guys. So glad we could see you today. Have a great rest of your week, or at least until Wednesday.
All right, guys. I'm Prof Sales.
And I'm Karin.
Saying
good sales to you.